There's been a change of plans, tighten up the clamps, we guarding the glass, I'm a Knickerbocker, we going man to man, no blood, no foul, sturdy in the zone, I leave it all on the line, die hard or go home, you see the body work, we shaking and baking, was down by 20, but my spirit ain't breaking, respect ain't automatic, you screaming out for the ref for a tech, I guard the garden, steel block swatted, bleed blue and orange, it's a die hard thing, you know nothing about it, live with the any star, 5-borough flavor, I made it rain, stole your cookies, see you later, yeah, die hard, we ain't get these scars for nothing, we gon' die hard, yeah, die hard, we ain't get these scars for nothing, we gon' try hard, yeah, lettuce, suck.
Gunshot in the air. Yeah, man, that was the debut of the Die Hard Hour theme song, man. Shout out to the Lettuce. That was the Lettuce in the video. You know what I'm saying? So that wasn't Sim. So I know some people are gonna think that that's Sim, but in the video, that's actually the Lettuce, man. So he's been on the show before. He's been on, the front stoop before and stuff too, man. So I'm so happy that came out so well, man. On the video. And like for those that are straggling, popping in, 9 o'clock sharp, we started. I got to play that again, man. I got to play it again because the song itself, I was shocked when I got it from him. But once this video popped up and everything connected properly, man, I was just like amazed, man. But let's get into it. For those that didn't see it when the show started, here we go again.
There's been a change of plans, tighten up the clamps, we guarding the glass, I'm a Knickerbocker, we going man to man, no blood, no foul, sturdy in the zone, I leave it all on the line, die hard or go home, you see the body work, we shaking and baking, was down by 20, but my spirit ain't breaking, respect ain't automatic, you screaming out for the ref for a tech, I guard the garden, steel block swatted, bleed blue and orange, it's a die hard thing, you know nothing about it, live with the any star, 5-borough flavor, I made it rain, stole your cookies, see you later, yeah, die hard, we ain't get these scars for nothing, we gon' die hard, yeah, die hard, we ain't get these scars for nothing, we gon' try hard, yeah, lettuce, suck.
Sheesh, man. Man, that came out so good. I hope you guys loved it. You know what I'm saying? So that'll be the intro. It'll be the intro and the outro. And whenever I feel like it, man, if I feel like vibing, I'm gonna just play it again. But whenever I ain't got nothing to say, I'm gonna just play it nonstop until the show ends, man. But I don't want to be chatting too much, man. I have a special guest today. It's ironic too because the guest happens to be the brother of the Lettuce. You know what I'm saying? So you guys got to meet the Lettuce, and you're gonna meet his brother in a few seconds, man. So it's very interesting the two people, they're brothers, but they're basically like kind of sitting on both shoulders. You got the good one and the kind of good one, you know what I'm saying? Well, they both good dudes, man, but just two amazing guys. I'm actually kind of nervous to tell you the truth, but without further ado, let me bring them up in here. This is Jovan Ramos, man. Yeah.
I appreciate the intro, man. Ray's the good one, man. I'm happy to be his brother.
Yeah. I'm trying to get like a contrast between you two guys. Yeah. Both of you guys are amazing. The first time I had him on, we had him on the front stoop. It's like a hip hop show.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get him on there because I've always said to Lou that he was a star to me.
Yeah.
And then he always got shocked when I say that to him, and I try to explain, that you don't have to be like famous or anything like that to be a star. You know what I'm saying? The way you carry yourself, the way that you speak to people, and that resonates, and then like if you like it should be normalized to tell people that,
That's true. It's true, to lift people up, right? To make them feel encouraged, for sure, 100%.
So that's a good segue, man. So lifting people up and stuff, so you're a pastor, so how did that come about? Because that's a calling, man.
Yeah, it is, man. So grew up in New York City, and for the first 9 years of my professional career, I was in education. So I worked in the public school system as a special ed teacher in East Harlem. Then I was a guidance counselor in the Bronx, back at my old alma mater, Lehman High School. And so all throughout that time, I was attending church even before that, and then was just volunteering, leading the youth ministry. My wife and I, when we got married, we've been married now for going on 16 years. So when we got married, we started leading the youth ministry. And so we'd do that, kind of do both of those things at the same time, would, work at the school system and then, go after school and go lead the church, which was amazing, and work with the kids there and the youth there, which was awesome. And so, yeah, that kind of started my journey. And then back in 2015 now, was asked to come full-time on staff at a church in Brooklyn. And so did that, came on and worked with the young adult ministry there. And we had about 1,000 young adults coming out on Friday nights. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it looked like a club. Outside there was a line. We had stanchions letting people in. And that was real cool. And then back in 2018, we moved down south. My wife and I lived in Louisiana for 2 years. I was working on staff at a church there, which was a real cool experience. And then we relocated out to the west suburbs of Chicago, which is where we live now. And so we've been here for about 6 years, almost going on 6 years, close to 6 years.
That's amazing, man. So I forgot that you moved to Louisiana. Your brother had told me that. So how was life in Louisiana compared to New York?
It was hot. I mean, listen, you go from New York to Louisiana, it feels like you're in a different country. It's like a different world. And so like that was hard, like 2-flight zone. You got to take 2 flights in order to get, even back to New York. We would have to fly to Atlanta and then fly to New York. There was no direct connections. It was a real amazing experience. In one sense, we bought our first house ever. When we lived in New York, we didn't think we'd ever be able to buy a home. We were on one salary. My wife stayed home with the kids. I was a teacher. We didn't think that was feasible. We didn't think the idea of purchasing a home was feasible. And then we moved down to Louisiana, was able to buy a home, and was able to, really start building our kids in that way, which was amazing. And I would go to the Pelicans game, see the Knicks every time. I was actually down there when Zion got drafted and we thought we were going to get him, which was a bummer. But it was different, man. It was hot, man. It was one of those places where you take a shower, you go outside, within 3 minutes, you need another shower. I mean, you just sweating nonstop.
Yeah,
it was the swamp. It was the swamp. Yeah. Louisiana's, I forget how many feet, but it's below sea level. So it just adds this layer of swampiness. But it was a great time, man. It was a cool experience. I think one of the best things that came out of it, my son, who's my middle child, he grew a real liking to the outdoors. So like even to this day, he wants to go fishing all the time. He's outdoors. He's very brave. So it was real cool that was really nurtured in a place where you got lizards in your backyard. You got turtles and snakes in your bed. And he's catching snakes barehanded and like, look, Poppy. And I'm like, yo, put that down. Put that down. So that was real cool that got cultivated down there. That was probably my favorite thing about being down there. Just the idea that that gifting in him just came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, New York is all like that. We're kind of spoiled because the concrete jungle, the city that never sleeps, all these different cliches about New York. But once you move out of New York, or like I used to spend summers in Virginia, so you get to see, how people live in other places, man. So you get to appreciate, where you're from. And then you get those, like you said, your son enjoys to be outdoors, you know what I'm saying? So I like being outdoors too, just for the simple fact that when we used to be in Virginia and stuff, the things we used to do. Playing.
Yes. Were you doing the Fresh Air Fund?
No, I got family down there.
Okay, I was gonna say, listen, I did the Fresh Air Fund before, which is a wild concept. When you think about it now, you're just sending your kids down to anyone's house randomly. But it's different when you get out of the city. And in some regards, like the notion of if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. That's like a real thing. I think, with that New York mentality, I feel like I could be blindfolded and put in any country and I'll survive. Like I just don't fear.
Yes.
But there's a uniqueness in some regards that because we have everything at our disposal in New York, we also don't have anything. Like there was just culture that you just are not familiar with. Especially being down south, like the Southern hospitality was like amazing. Like people were just so kind and like gracious and generous and like all like I remember having to get used to, I'll be walking with my wife and somebody would wave at me. And at first, I'm like, are you waving at my wife? Like, what's, like, you just
as a New Yorker, it's up.
It's a New Yorker. It's always up, always up.
Yeah.
And so it was actually really, really special to be able to kind of you feel like in New York you're on a treadmill, going, 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 going. You get to a place like Louisiana, and it's just you get to just to be still. I mean, I could vividly remember our first night sleeping in our new home. We drove down from New York to Louisiana, which was fun, and then we get into our home, and we had just lived. This is no exaggeration, Ebru. We were living on Prospect, right by Prospect, right by the park. We were right on Flatbush, right by Prospect Park. The night that we moved, there was a fight on our car. We had a Honda Pilot. There was an indentation on our car the night that we moved. I'll never forget. I was like, I got to get out of here. So for like 6-7 years, my car had this massive dent on it from a body, like not even a can of body. And then you get to Louisiana and you're just quiet. And I remember like the first few nights, we were like, you need like a white noise of street noise. You need like sirens and stuff just to sleep. But it really is it was an amazing experience, man.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you ended up in Chicago, man. So, back to the big city life, so how was that transition? How did that go about?
Yeah. So there was a church that reached out to me while we were back in Louisiana, a mutual friend of ours, a good friend of ours, and asked me to come and help him with a church that he had started. And so moved out here. And so Chicago's interesting, a little different than New York in the sense that you get Chicago, the city proper, and then the suburbs surrounding it, they call it Chicagoland, and they will consider that Chicago. Whereas like for us in New York, if you live in Nyack, we're like, that's not New York.
Yeah, we're not checking for them.
Yeah. Right. The minute you get past the Tappan Zee, you are in Canada. Like that's not even the same cut. Like it's like, get out of here. Yeah. So, but in Chicago it is. So we live about 25 minutes out of the city, 20 minutes. I could get to the heart of the city in 25 minutes, no traffic. I could take a 45-minute train ride down to the heart of the city to be like Magnificent Mile, be down there. And so we live in the west suburbs, which has been beautiful. It's a good pace in between Louisiana, which was so slow, New York, which is so fast. Chicago has a good rhythm. The Midwest has a nicer pace. It has a little bit of you can go and get that city flair. I could go again to the United Center and go to a game, go to a White Sox game, go to a Cubs game, kind of feel like you're getting that city vibe, but without the city drama. Because people in Chicago, listen, I know what the news reports say. It is not New York though. Like it's just not New York. And so, it's good. It gives you that sense of we live far enough that we can enjoy the peace and quiet of the suburbs. But anytime we need that flair, we'll go to a Puerto Rican joint in Humboldt Park. We'll go to, somewhere in Oak Park and, get jibaritos and, you know what I'm saying? Like we get a chance to enjoy that as well. So it gives us both of those worlds kind of together, which we didn't have in Louisiana. So that was really special. Yeah.
Well, you say that, but you're wearing Knicks gear. So how did Chicago people appreciate you wearing the Knicks stuff, man?
Yeah. I'll be honest. What's interesting, I feel like Chicago, I'd be curious to I'd be curious to hear what Chicagoans think about what I'm going to say. I feel like they are a baseball football team, a baseball football city, like the Bears. Everything's the Bears, or, everything is, the Cubs, White Sox rivalry. I feel like the Bulls haven't been relevant enough for there to be like diehard Bulls fans like we are in New York. Like we've been trash. We went through stretches where we were trash for years. Like I was looking at this the other day. Shane Larkin was like our point guard. Like we had, Shandon Anderson at one point, right? Like, so, but Knicks fans, like we will still buy tickets. We showing up, like we're there. It's like you can't turn us down. And I find that even though I'm a Knicks fan, what Bulls fans would say is like, oh yeah, but you remember Jordan? And I'm like, yeah, I get that, but Starks dunked on him. So what are we talking about? Like that's literally my response always. I'm like, Starks, I had the poster. Starks yammed it on him. And so their sense of like sportsmanship with the Bulls is only like, oh, but look at, they don't even bring up Derrick Rose years. They just say, look at Jordan. And so I get it. Like when you got the GOAT, when you literally have the GOAT who's, 6 championships, you can't argue that. I get that that's your argument, but they don't really trip on me being a Knicks fan. And I go and I'm at the United Center and I'm yelling. Like I'm beating my chest. They're looking at me like I'm crazy. Yeah. And it's fire.
Yeah, they got the New York Yankees mentality because we don't won like 20. How many championships we won? Like
100%.
Yeah, so if we lose, some Yankee fans get, they're kind of like spoiled brats. But for me, I've seen them win so much that like we can lose for the rest of my life, and I will still be bringing up. Remember
I'll
Derek
be
Jeter?
fine. I'll be
Yeah.
fine. I
Yeah.
feel the same way about the Giants. Like, I lived through those 2 wild card championships. I kind of feel like I'm good with football. I'll cheer for whoever because of that. Whereas the Knicks, man, we just need that one, and we need that one, man.
Yeah.
To change our trajectory, man. We need one.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Giants because I'm one of the few people that talk like that, because I remember LT. I remember Phil Simms almost, he threw a perfect game in the for the what is it called, Super Bowl. For the Super Bowl, he had like one of the best games ever. You know what I'm saying? So I remember those days. So for people that are old enough to remember those type of things, you tend to appreciate things a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
No, it's true. So I feel like I give them that, like, when they bring up the Bulls, I let them have it. But I'm like, what about now? Right. I'm like, you got 18 point guards. What about now? Like I'll kind of get on them like that.
Right. Yeah, that's true. All the trades that they made recently, but
crazy.
So I mean, the reason why you're here, you know what I'm saying? You're here because you're dope. I
appreciate that, man.
I think you would have been on the show anyway, eventually. You know what I'm saying? But you did something special the last time the Knicks played Chicago.
Yeah.
Right? So they were in Chicago. So tell them about the opportunity that you had when you was out there.
Yeah, man. I was real blessed. I have a dear friend of mine who does PR for the Bulls, and he happens to be also the chaplain for the Bulls. So he does that, which is real special. The opportunity to be able to encourage and lift up NBA players on a consistent basis. He does 41 games for the most part. So
is his name Andre Toran?
Yeah, Andre.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So that's my dog, man. So he's great. And that's my plug. I never bother him for any other tickets other than Knicks. So he knows when Knicks come around, I'm like, man, please. And he always blesses me. He's the best. And so he reached out to me as I was asking him for tickets for this game. And he was like, man, would you consider coming to do the chapel? He attended the church, one of the churches that I was on staff at. He attended there, or he attends there. So we've been friends for a minute. And yeah, man, it was pretty cool, just the opportunity to be able to do that. So with those moments, what you're really looking to do, you have 10 to 12 minutes before the game. And it's voluntary. So it's not like every player goes. It's not like it's mandatory. It's a voluntary opportunity. And what happens is the players that want to show up, they show up. You get about 10 to 12 minutes to interact with them. And it was crazy. So I get there, I got to get there early. I'm at the United Center. I went with one of my best friends who's from New York, who lives out here as well. He's a pastor as well. His name is Joaquin. I gave him all my Knicks gear. So I'm like, yo, take this aside, because we couldn't go together. So he took all my Knicks. I have my outfit, my Knicks outfit. He took that with him. And so I'm just in a regular shirt and a jacket. And, so I get there early. My man Andre meets me. And as I'm going down the stairs, Matt McClung pulls up. So I'm like, Matt, what's up? I'm just being cordial and just respectful. And so we go to this area where there's food, and you can the players are in and out. So the first person I see when I turn the corners is Mo Diawara, and he's just scarfing down food, which, I saw him and Ariel Hakporti. I mean, these are some tall dudes. Ariel Hakporti is tall, bro. It's deceptive tall. You don't see it on TV, but he was super tall, and they were cool. They were very cordial. They greeted me. And I chopped it up with Dre for a little bit, and then he was like, "Hey, just wait here. The coaches are having a coaches meeting with the press, and they're gonna come out, and that's where we do chapel." So I was kind of standing there, and as I was waiting I had maybe about 15 minutes to kill. I started chopping it up with one of the equipment managers for the Knicks. His name is Will Smith, good brother, man, out in Harlem. So we start kicking it, chopping it up. I'm just kicking it with him. Jalen Brunson comes by, says what's up. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Cat is walking around, mad tall, just Cat is doing this thing. Jordan Clarkson came by, said what up to me, and he had his little accent and was chopping it up for a minute. They were just normal people. And then Mike Brown came out of that space, all the coaches, all the press. So it was cool to see the press there too. Stephen Bondi and all those guys, they were there as well. So
they came out for the actual service.
Not for the chapel, but where the chapel was being held is where they were meeting. So I just caught them on the flip, right as I was entering, they were exiting.
Okay. And
so we just got to chop it up. And then when you get to the chapel space, it's where they do where they'll do the away press conference for whatever team it is. And then at that point it's a gamble. You're just trying to figure out you don't know who's going to show up, because again, it's voluntary. Right. And it was cool, man. The first one that came in was Dylan Jones, who's on a 2-way contract with us. He was super dope, super nice, man. Then Trey Jemison came in, which I expected Trey to come in, which I was real happy to see, man. Good dude, man. Just like solid dude.
Yeah, he's a devout Christian too. There's no mistake.
He's a devout. Yeah. No, he's about it.
He's about it. He's all about that. Yeah.
Anthony Simons from the Bulls came in. That was just with the Celtics. He showed up. Colin Sexton showed up. Mikal Bridges, Deuce McBride. And so there was about 6 or 7 dudes there in total. And then, the purpose of it is like, look, these guys are on the road nonstop. These guys are away from their family. They're away from normalcy. And a lot of them have strong faith in God and Christ. And so, when you follow Jesus and you're on the road like that, you're distracted by everything. And so this kind of is a 10-minute opportunity, 12-minute opportunity just to anchor them back to their faith and to anchor them back to the truth before the game. And so with those moments, there's a lot that I learned. This was obviously the first time I did it. And so I'll have a different approach the next time I do. And not a different approach, but just a little tweaks here and there. But the way that I approached it really was, one, you're not trying to talk basketball with them. So I'm not there trying to come up with basketball analogies for these guys. In this moment, you're treating them like humans because that's what they are. They're regular. The Bible has what made Christianity spread. One of the things that's real cool about Christianity, a lot of people don't know this. I've been able to travel to Israel. I've been able to travel to Turkey and kind of be in the spaces where Christianity started. One of the things that made Christianity very cool was you would get dignitaries and prostitutes and tax collectors and religious zealots and people that were all different types of people from all different walks of life were coming together around communion, around the body and the blood of Jesus. So you get this like very this faith that was founded on there is no order. There is no pecking order. Nobody, like, it doesn't matter who you are. We're all one in Christ. And so that's the way you have to treat those moments. Like when I'm talking to them, I'm looking at them, and I know other people who've done the chaplain. I got a bunch of buddies who've done chaplaincy back in New York for the Nets and for others as well. And, you're just trying to impart life into them in these moments and treat them like humans. So I just shared a quick thought on the idea of having peace within, and just the idea that like life is going very fast all around and things can be extremely crazy all around you, but you can still have peace within. And I spoke on a scripture where there was a storm and Jesus was in the boat in the middle of the storm. And the Bible says that Jesus said to be silent to the storm. It's an interesting word there. It's a Greek word that when you translate it in Greek, it means to muzzle. So he muzzled the storm. The idea, if you think of a muzzle, like when a pit bull has a muzzle, the pit bull could still move around and look like it's going to get you, but it can't bite. And so the idea that when you have Jesus, you have this ability to muzzle things that are happening all around you, that they can look very scary. They can look, like things are crazy, but there's a peace that you have within it. So encourage them with that. And then you share those thoughts with them. You give them the opportunity to ask any questions, and to do all that. And then you get the opportunity as well just to pray with them. And so it's a cool moment, man. It was great. The guys were there. They were super receptive. It was good to see Deuce and connect with Deuce, man, and connect with Mikal and Trey and Dylan. So that was dope, man. It was real dope. It's an amazing opportunity. And then right after that, went right upstairs, met my man, threw on my Knicks gear, and act like nothing ever happened.
There you go. I was waiting for it because I mean, like, while all this is happening, like how long did it take you to say, like, I'm a Knicks fan. By the way, I'm a Knicks fan.
So that's right when I was done praying, I went up to Mikal, gave him a big hug, went up to Deuce, same thing. And when I got up to Deuce, I was like, yo, Deuce, I ain't gonna lie, Deuce, I'm a Knicks fan, son. Like, word up, like, I'm cheering for you. And he was hyped. He started laughing. I was like, yo, I'm praying for your abdomen. It was cool, man. Like, he was super receptive. The guys were great. I think they could tell from my accent, like, I told them I was from New York. Yeah.
Because people from Chicago, they kind of have like it's like a
little draw.
It's a draw. It's not like a country accent, but it's definitely like a smoother kind of. Like, it's just definitely a different kind of dialect.
So it was dope.
So so somebody asks you, what we doing? It's always somebody, right? But
and I love it.
We're talking about chaplains. Every job is supposed to have one. Usually like big jobs, like my day job. A lot of people don't know I work for the city. I just leave it like that. You know what I'm saying? So we have a chaplain also. So we can reach out to the chaplain if we're having problems with our families or something like that. It's like let's say like post office people. There's a term going postal. So they have chaplains and stuff where you could reach out to them so you can fight these demons that you have. Just the daily grind of going to work and stuff like that. Not everybody knows what you're going through. So I think it's dope that these major sports teams take the time out to bring people into the space. So if anybody needed to reach out,
sure.
they can. So do they? I guess like because it's your first time doing it. Would they confide in you guys?
So like one of the dopest thing was, again, my guy Andre was there, who's the chaplain for the Bulls. And one of the Bulls players immediately went up to him afterwards and started processing him, like, yo, like, it's been hard. And then they pulled me in and I got a chance to connect with them. And you just get to hear, like, these are normal guys. The guy that came up, he's like, yo, I'm on an expiring contract. I don't know what's going to happen next. So that's real. Like, like, that's a real feeling. Like, yeah, they're going to go out and they're going to perform for us and they're going to be amazing as athletes. And they, listen, they get a lot of money. I get all that as well, but they're still human. And so, like, you get it. And we also forget a lot of these guys are like 25, 26, 27. They're babies.
Yeah, from our perspective, they're children, big time.
That's right. Yeah. And like, they're amazing and they're huge, but like these are 25-year-olds trying to figure out. And I mean, you've seen the statistics on the amount of NBA players that go bankrupt. I mean, sports athletes in general, but NBA players who go bankrupt after a few years of being in the league. So there's this part of it that's super cool. They get a chance to connect. I got multiple friends of mine who have done it for the Nets and have done it consistently. And they would say, yeah, the guys give you their number. They're like trying to connect. And if they got an issue, they're like trying to reach out. So that's a cool experience. You get a chance to really make an impact. I think the thing to always remember with this is like, yeah, we look at them and yes, they have a high standard because they're the greatest athletes, 450 of the greatest athletes in the world. They're amazing people who make a lot of money and they're very rich, and that's amazing. And sometimes we can hold them to a standard, but they're human and they're young. When I was 25 years old, I just don't know if I would want to be held to that kind of pressure at 25, right? So it's cool that they come up and they're just like, man, like, how do I handle this? Like, I'm losing my temper. I'm not getting enough playing time. I feel like I'm not getting minutes. I'm listening to these conversations, and I was asking my guy Dre afterwards, like, hey man, like, like, is that normal? He's like, bro, they come up to me all the time. They'll ask me like for prayer for those kind of things, And so, yeah, man, you get a chance just to help them in that moment. Listen, and I joked around with my boy, but Mikal Bridges hit a big 3 at the end of that game. And I was like, yo, that's because I was out there praying. You know what I'm saying? I was out there praying for my boy Kale. Like, he out there hit that corner 3. I was like, oh, man, he let it fly because of that, man. So, but, you just get a chance to be a blessing to them, which is cool. Make something normal in a lifestyle that's very hard for them to be normal.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to think that most fans are like chaplains in their own rights, man. Saying praying and praying for them to hit the shot or to make a play or come back from a win and stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, I always think that's very important. Usually every pod I try to figure out a way to give back some just not necessarily knowledge, but just some of my own personal experience. Maybe I can pass on wisdom and stuff like that. It's just that just the power of your word, man. You know what I'm saying, and just the way that you think. Like you can affect other people in so many different
100%.
ways. So when the Knicks were losing all those years, it was horrible to be a Knicks fan because it was just spewing. So everything that you could possibly imagine was happening with the Knicks, to the point. Remember, we had that Anuka Brown situation. Man, that was rock bottom for us.
That was bad.
Yeah, but I think the Knicks fans, just the festering, bad vibes. I think that we did that.
Yeah, for sure.
The city did
for
that,
sure. And honestly, it's also like the explosion of social media.
Yes.
Like, like the Twitter game now and YouTube, everyone's got everyone's podcasting on these things and giving their opinion. It creates a little bit of a bubble of like negativity sometimes. Like, that I feel like if we were just back in the day when you had to wait to get the daily news and see what Frank Isola was going to say, or Mark Berman, you get the post, you're like, all right, what is he going to say?
Yeah,
I mean, I remember just like getting the paper and just waiting to see what trades were coming up. I remember specifically when we got Jerome James. I'll never forget that summer because I was working at the Board of Ed in Zariga Avenue in the Bronx. Yeah, we got Jerome James. And I remember like picking up the newspaper, going to the copy room and just being like, yo, and now we have that information so accessible that I feel like we could take it for granted. And so then like things like that are expedited. And so what happens is you get a frustration and you're negative. And for a fan base like us that's been so deprived 40 years or so, you just get this sense of like, when is it going to come? When is it going to come? And now everything is a bad move. And listen, we could hold James Dolan accountable. There's been some real bad decisions in the past for sure. I mean, by, presidents and, so on and so forth. But I think Knicks fans also don't know how to they don't know how to realize when we've turned it around a little bit and we're doing okay. It's still trauma. It's like someone who's coming out of a negative relationship, an abusive relationship. And every time someone lifts their hand, they're going like this. It's kind of like that. We like that sometimes. So, yeah, man. 51 years. My bad. Virgo Smith. He's correcting me. 51 years. My bad. My apologies.
But yeah, man. So I really down with those vibes. But see, this year here, 18. That's when I started the pod. 2018.
Yeah.
I also had a near death experience too. So even through I'm not super religious, but I keep a spirituality about me, right? So
for sure,
it was a near death experience. So I experienced the light flashing in front of me. So you get to the point where you're thinking like, damn, son, like there's so much things that I wanted to do, that if I did pass away, I would not have been able to do any of those things on at least on this existence that we call life, right?
Yeah, this side of it.
So you know what? I need to get down with this podcast and stuff. So that's how I ended up on this channel. I'm actually simulcasting on Nothing But Knicks and also
shout out to Sim. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Sim is dope. So Sim, just meeting him through I met him we met him at the Garden one day, and then from that time we just kind of just been super cool, man, just connected and stuff. So yeah, so 2018 was a big year because that's when everybody was kind of like we were still losing, but it was smoldering. We got RJ, and then soon we got we got RJ, we got Julius, and then the next season that's when we started winning again.
Yeah, so we got that quickly pick up, and for that 25th overall. Shout out to Marcus Morris, who just blessed us with a great trade and got us that first round pick. And so
Tom Thibodeau also,
yeah, it's a big Tom, man. Tom Thibodeau's interesting. That's the cool thing about being in Chicago, that as a Knicks fan, the first thing people say to me is, what do you think about Tom? And they have a comparable relationship to Tom than we do. Like I feel like they respect him more. Yeah. Even though he never brought them a championship, but I think they're able to do that kind of like what we were talking about because they've gotten 6, not too long ago. But they're interesting. They see the same things we saw. Hard nosed, not going to develop. A little stubborn. You love to hate him. You love what he does, but he's running your guys to the ground. So, so it's interesting to kind of hear. It's interesting to kind of see them have that perspective of Tom Thibodeau. That's kind of a connection for us when I'm out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, they definitely see it from our perspective because they've been through the whole thing. They had 5 years with him. So they know what Tom Thibodeau is all about. So we experienced in the 5 years too. So when we got rid of him, it was kind of time. Not necessarily anything that he was doing, but it would just every coach, after a certain time, the voice just gets, dull.
Yeah,
so you just need somebody else in there, something just to wake up the team,
For sure.
get the guys, so they know what that's all about over there in Chicago.
Yeah, they do. They get it.
What's annoying here though is that now that Tom Thibodeau is gone, there's like a group of fans that want Tom Thibodeau to come back. We should never got rid of Tom. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think as Knicks fans, we have a propensity to constantly look back and always admire the amount of people I've seen that wanted to slap Julius Randle and throw him off the Brooklyn Bridge that are now begging for him to come back because they see Cat doing something that they don't like is funny. So I think what happens sometimes, I think one of the things that happens is we can look back and appreciate something that we had in one season and didn't take care of it in another season. I think in regards to Tom Thibodeau, I mean, listen, he's a beast defensively, brilliant defensive coach. He's hard-nosed. You love all those things. I think that's amazing. I've been really excited to see Diawara play. I've been excited to see Kevin McCullough get a couple of minutes. I love when Tyler Kolick's out there. So I like Mike Brown's ability to be a little flexible. I hope Mike Brown could take us to the chip. I'm patient. I see some flaws that scare me, but I don't know if the flaws are a byproduct of Brown or the current roster that we have.
Right.
I think it's just tough, man. It's hard to know, but I'm in good spirits, man. Like I feel like everyone's like, yo, we lost to Detroit 3 times, blah blah blah, and I'm like, yo, we lost to the Celtics 4 times last year. We lost to Detroit 3 times last year. We beat both of those teams. I have a little bit of, and I don't want to get used to this or familiar with this, but I do feel like I have a little bit of like, yo, they're not playing real right now. They're waiting for the playoffs, and I respect that. Right. They're saving it for the playoffs, and so we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens.
Do you think that was going to happen? Do you think that's what's going to happen with the Knicks when they because the only team I'm really afraid of, not necessarily afraid, but just like anxious about, I want to say is probably Detroit, but only because the style of play that they play.
Sure. The thing with Detroit is interesting is like, yeah, they're doing amazing now, but their entire offense revolves around Cade Cunningham and his ability to create for himself. There's not another player on their team that's a shot creator. And so with that, I feel like in a 7-game series, there's some things you could do. I think the physicality is high now, but I do think it could get a little bit on, I think they'll be physical. They'll be equally physical and even hard-nosed in the playoffs, but who else is going to score if we start locking up? If OG really locks in and we're able to lock up, or now, we're getting Sohan as a, third wing option to come off and create a little bit of. One of the things that's interesting that we haven't done well is I feel like we just play man to man when it comes to Detroit. Like we just put OG on Cade. I would love to see us blitz and kind of get him pocketed in a corner and make him make a decision, because they don't have another shot creator. The other thing they don't have is, like, when they've played us, they've been amazing from the 3-point range, but they're traditionally not a good 3-point shooting team. So I'm a little less concerned, if I'm honest. I'm a little less concerned with them. I do get worried about Boston because they're just so well coached. Boston to me is always one of those teams that you just listen. Jaylen Brown's doing amazing. I hear me say this. I'm not saying that they're going to beat us. I don't think any of them will beat us, but I think Boston's a little more concerning to me because they can turn it on in the playoffs. They've been there. Detroit hasn't won a playoff series yet. This team hasn't won a playoff series. So, like, until they do that, I'm kind of like, yeah, we'll see what happens, man. You know what I mean? I'm like, we'll see what happens.
But one thing I want to say about Detroit, it's a budding rivalry only because we met them in the playoffs recently. We beat them. We beat them in 6 games. Jalen Brunson hit that amazing shot, to put them away.
And they played us very well. Like, they played us very, very well. Kudos to them.
Yeah. And then, they could have beat us also, but the Knicks had maybe like three comeback victories, in that series. So it could have went either way, but we still did beat them. But what I'm leading with this is that, have you ever felt like negative towards Detroit? Because we're older men, so I'm not talking about just this season. Have you ever had ill will towards Detroit?
Nah, man. I'll be honest. Like, Detroit is like, I get the rivalry starting to come, and they feel like that towards us. I feel like a lot of teams feel that way towards us. I think the only team I've ever in my life been like, yo, if I see this jersey, is Indiana. And I just think that stems from Reggie Miller. Like, I just can't get jiggy with it. That's the only team I've always felt like we've had like a legitimate, like, but the Pistons, I don't feel negative towards them. I actually respect their team. I think they're dogs. I like the way they play. They don't have like a Trae Young that's super annoying. I feel like, Beef Stew to me kind of is like, sometimes I'm like, man, like, I get it, but it just feels like extra with trying to be tough. Everything's always trying to be a tough guy. Yeah. But I look at them and I go, they're a great team. They're a young team. They're well coached. They're excellent. I don't look at them and go like, oh man, like, I don't know. There's something about Indiana that does that to me that Detroit doesn't. Indiana's probably, and maybe Miami. I'll say Miami as well. Miami and Indiana are the 2 teams I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate these guys. But Detroit, I'm like, they're a good team. I respect what they're doing. I don't feel like they're necessarily like, I hate these guys,
because it's the history, like you mentioned Reggie Miller with what was it, Miami, we had a brawl with them.
Timmy, PJ coming out here trying to, and Charlie Ward tackled him. Yeah.
you know, and then we beat them in that. We were the 8th seed, they were the number 1 seed. With the first time that one of the few times that ever happened ever. You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot of bad blood with this team. So even to this day, like even when they were when we sucked and they were better, and then right now when we're kind of like even with each other, every time we see them, it's always like.
I feel like all that stemmed from Pat Riley faxing in his resignation letter. Like I feel like Pat Riley faxing his resignation letter to go to Miami was like, yo, you guys can never be. I can never cheer for you ever.
Right. I
just can't do it. And like that's been consistent. Like even with the Dwayne Wade years, you look at Dwayne Wade, you go, man, like I really like this guy. You kind of like, all right, he's likable. Then LeBron goes there. You're like, yo, get this guy out of here. Like that's it, I'm done. Like they're trash. I can't. So yeah.
Well, let me play this for you because this is an actual soundbite from Detroit fans. I just don't see where it's coming from. You know what I'm saying? Because the bad when the Pistons were the bad boys, we weren't like fighting with them. We never
weren't
really
good. We weren't good.
We never really met them in the playoffs. We had no no history at all. So I just don't understand this reaction. So just take a look at this, and then we'll just talk about it after.
This city hates the Knicks.
Yeah.
Like Cade hates the Knicks. This city hates the Knicks.
Fuck the Knicks.
I hate the Knicks. I hate the Knicks.
Fuck the Yes Network.
I hate the fact that everyone gives them this credit all the time, and they suck. They've sucked forever. They haven't won anything since the early 70s, since the NBA Finals were in tape delay. A loaf of bread was 80 cents back then. Like, all of it. Terry, I'm tired of hearing about the Knicks, and you had their fans popping off, and you had all the celebrities, like, they were just sitting there courtside like,
yeah, look at dumb as hell.
Oh, man. Oh, just
hey, ladies and gentlemen,
Terry,
you just
why?
heard from a professional. I'm going to say it in 3 words. Fuck the Knicks.
Terry, why would they all sit there? Why would Ben Stiller sit there and look shocked? It happens to you all the time. Every game, every series, every year it happens to you, Knick fans, all the time.
Right.
And Ben Stiller, you always sit there and you're like, I can't believe this is happening. We all can because it happens all the time. I hate it when people are stupid.
Yes.
Like you expect it to be different. It's never going to be different for the Knicks.
Yes.
Never. You know how I know? It never is different. Never.
Yo, bro,
I love that. That makes me excited. That's great.
But they only have one more championship than we do.
Yeah, no, it's sad. That's sad. That way, like sometimes you'll see this in music as well, like with rap. You'll see this in a lot of different areas where sometimes someone tries to spark something as a way to get, notoriety. I look at fans like that, and I think there's a part of it where New York is interesting because I could say this as being on the outside. There's a view of New York. New York City obviously is the greatest city in the world. You get the New York Knicks that are this team that, yeah, for sure, they're a laughing stock, but bad teams don't understand why they get so much media play. So we in New York are like, yo, they like always Knicks for clicks. They're trying to play us. But outside, they're like, why are they talking about this team that's not good? So I think what happens when you're outside of New York, there are teams that are like other fan bases that are like, my team is equally bad or better, and we get no airplay. But ESPN will go on a, 7-minute rant on the Knicks. And so I think that's happened for years. I think that's build up. I think our fan base is the best fan base in the world. And so I think that does bring a level of jealousy. Like, I don't say that like just tongue in cheek. I legitimately mean who else is doing like other basketball franchises saw what we were doing in the podcast space and on Twitter space, and they literally have tried to replicate what's being done. Like that is crazy.
But talking about the Knicks like that is going to get Knick fans to come after them, so that's going to boost up their views.
Yeah,
and
yeah. And
game,
then
man.
you know how we do. We'll get fired up. Somebody's on Twitter, they adding you. So I think it's one of those things like. Those guys are just trying to make their podcast. They don't even look like a cohesive group. Those guys, I don't even know. They don't even look like they belong together. So, like, that's just them trying to get famous. It's cool. Listen, man, keep on keeping on.
That guy that was in there, the bald-headed guy,
yeah,
that was Terry Mills.
Yeah.
Remember Terry Mills?
Of course, I remember Terry Mills.
So I watched the video so many times, but it just clicked in my head just now that was Terry Mills. Because he called him Terry. This is Terry Mills.
That's crazy. Yeah. See, yeah, there's like, I think some people just don't. I wonder sometimes if it's the inner working of the organization that maybe they just didn't like the way the franchise. I don't know, man, but that's just like an excessive amount of hate for a team that's not even concerned about you.
Exactly.
Like we don't care. We don't care.
You know, have you ever heard like Kenny Skywalker talk about I hate the Detroit Pistons? You know, like
you don't hear that.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, no, well, you know, I'm not gonna diss Terry Mills. I think Terry Mills might have averaged 20 points one year or something. So he wasn't a bum.
No, he wasn't a bum, but
but
you know, still. Yeah.
I've never heard a player say about another franchise, fuck that franchise. I never heard that.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think that's just like a level. I've seen it with like true rivalries, like the Bears and the Packers. Like they just want to kill each other. You know, you see it with certain rivalries. But I'm like, bro, like we don't even care about Detroit. Like we've literally let them have first place. We're not like we're trying to figure out our system, trying to figure everything out. We've legitimately pulled back. And I don't know how much of that is intentional. It could be, listen, I don't want to take credit away from the Pistons. They're incredible. They're an incredibly coached team. Cade is amazing. I don't think Cade is looking at like I hate Brunson. I think Cade is probably like I hate Shea Gildress. Like I should be the best one. I think there's a little bit more of that. I don't think Shea's looking at Brunson or I hate the Knicks. Like if he is, then that's really sad. Like you really got to let go and let God, man. Like that's really sad. You know what I mean? That's tough.
Competition. You know, competition is one thing. Like you see another team, you say, "Yo, I want to beat them." You know, you're just like hyped up to play them. But it's never even with like say Halliburton. You know, with Indiana. Like you know, I don't like Indiana. You know, just we have that feeling of Indiana. But when we played him, I don't feel like I hate Halliburton
100%.
personally or anything like that.
Yeah, like when he popped his Achilles, I was sad. Like that was sad, you know. Like I'm not trying to see nobody pop their Achilles.
Yeah, that was my instant reaction. You know that you don't want to see something bad happen, but you're just excited for the competition. You want to beat them 100%.
Yeah.
You know, you don't just want to like get them at their worst. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting how that goes. Because I mean, Indiana did not have the same grace for us either. You know, when the series before that, the year before, all of our players were injured, and they were talking when most of our team was out. So I guess.
Yeah, and I want to make a correction. Shout out to Kev Berg in the chat. We didn't let them have first place; they took it. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. The point I'm trying to make with that is that yes, they're playing amazing. That's why I said I don't want to take anything away from them, but. In reality, and we know this to be true, at least with this team, that seeding does not matter. Playoffs matters.
Right.
That's not to omit bad play. That's not to say that that you become lazy during the season, but the season does not matter. Right. That's been proven. Last year, the Indiana Pacers made it to the finals, and they were like the 6th seed, I believe, 5th or 6th seed. Like seeding does not matter. It doesn't matter. And
the Miami Heat too. Miami Heat made it to the finals.
Yeah. That doesn't matter. It's what happens when it's your health. It's how healthy you are when you get to the playoffs. That's a big one. Obviously, you want to have a favorable seeding if you can. So what I'm saying by seeding doesn't matter is I'm saying like you're not out here trying to get. I don't think the Knicks are like, yo, we got to get first place. I think I just don't see that. I don't see that. I think they're trying to figure out their system so that when they get to the playoffs, they're playing at the highest level of basketball. By April, they want to be playing with everything clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, definitely, man. You want to be rolling in the right way. So when we went through that losing streak, it was at the right time because you would rather lose in January than catch these little
100%.
droughts in April and stuff like that.
100%. Yeah, I mean, you see that last year. You see that last year with what we did in the playoffs.
Right.
We lost to we lost to all the top seeded teams. We were like 0 and like 16. And then we so I don't allow myself to get caught into that. I feel like it's unnecessary stress.
Yeah. It's consistent too, because even in Cleveland the year before that, Cleveland, had the upper hand that year too. So then we ended up smoking them that series, in the playoffs, so
of course. Cleveland last year was the number 1 seed. They get bumped by they were the number 1 seed last year, right?
Yeah, for the majority of the season, yeah.
But when they got to the playoffs, who was number 1? It was
Cleveland.
So
Yeah.
that means that Indiana was 8th seed.
Right.
So that means the 8th seed team. I could be bugging. I could look this up, but I'm almost positive Cleveland had a 62-win season last year. I believe they were the number 1 seed.
Team.
That implies that they played Indiana in the second round. So in fairness, I think Indiana was 5th or 6th seed. But either way, what I'm saying is that like Indiana goes to the playoffs, they go to the finals on 5th or 6th seed. I think obviously that's normal.
Yeah. And so after all this, just we talking about rivalries and stuff. I kind of wanted to talk about the old rivalries, but right now the conversation it's just it is what it is. Like going back to Detroit, like we have bad blood with Cleveland. But we don't even, we're not even talking about Cleveland. Cleveland ain't talking about us neither. You know what I'm saying? But we have one playoff series where it was like, exciting, and Detroit fans are like off the wall. It's ridiculous to me, man.
I think that a part of that is like, I'll get philosophical. I think a part of that is actually because the NBA is not doing so well I think the NBA is just stinking it up lately with a lot of their decisions. I think whether it's the All-Star game or just how they've handled the tanking situation, there's a lot of things that have been like, So I think in some regards, it is media driven as a way to try to get there to be some rivalries, because when there's rivalries, that means that there's fan bases watching, you're developing fan bases. And so I think some of it is that. I think some of it is that there's a desire for when we grew up watching the games, like you weren't ending a game and everybody's giving each other a hug. Players really didn't like each other. Yeah. But now at the end of the game, everyone's dapping, they're hugging each other. So I feel like there's a little bit of like a hope from fan bases to create this sense of tension, because when there's tension, you feel this competitive nature come on, and you take more pride in it. I think for us, we have a different route because we're 51 years in a drought. So I think there's a little bit of a different approach, but I still think the same thing is true, that the NBA has stunk up so much, and you got Shea and all these guys buddy hanging out, and we don't want to see that. We actually don't want you to like each other. Like we want that energy. And so I feel like that's kind of a little bit of a brewing of that, trying to create a little bit of a let's create like an internal rift, because it'll make the competition level go higher. That's my assumption. I could be wrong, but that's kind of that's how I read it.
Yeah, I read it the same way, but it's coming off like WWF now. WWE.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's more about that than the actual game. The game itself is watered down. Like we know wrestling is fake. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like this basketball that we're watching, all the 3-point shooting, all they're talking about, all the usage is up, and we got the most skilled players and all this nonsense. But when you watch the game, a lot of times, sometimes I just turn it off because nothing is happening in the game that's making me engage in the game. Like basketball is not necessarily happening. It's just they drive, kick it out, somebody's shooting a 3. How do you feel about the state of basketball?
Yeah, no, I feel like one of the things you miss is some of the fundamentals that we saw when we're growing up and playing ball. I think AAU has kind of changed that a little bit. That's no knock to AAU players, but I feel like there's a lack of fundamentals that are being had. And so like it was funny, I went out to Utah with my brother Ray and my little brother Alex, and we were at the Jazz game. We went to a Jazz and Hornets game. We were sitting pretty close, and it was dope. But you can see with that Hornets team, and they've been on a great run lately, but there was just like a lack of wisdom on fundamentals. You'll get a guy that is 3 feet from the basket deciding to give up a great shot to pass it to someone, because we believe that the 3-point shot is a better shot than being at the basket and clapping the backboard. So I think we've just shifted, and that there's been greatness to that, right? Like I think we've seen amazing things. Steph Curry, greatest shooter of all time. We've seen, the sport evolve. Even when I think about the Harden Rocket years, those are real special. I mean, he was next level, unstoppable, unguardable. But I think one of the things that happens is it makes the game more about athleticism and less about IQ. And I think the times that we could look back when the NBA was amazing was when there was a high level of IQ. I think that's why the Joker is doing what he's doing, because he has just he's so cerebral. Like the guy's like, he's incredible. And so when you get a cerebral player in the NBA now today, they just stand out. They're like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? Like, this guy's incredible. We don't see the Rajon Rondos anymore. We don't see Jason Kidds, these players that were just so smart and had the ability to make these great moves. So I think going back to your original question, I just feel like the NBA is evolving, and there's a part of me that doesn't want to be the old head. I remember growing up and when Hot 97 would be at noon, and they would start playing all the oldies. You'd be like, yo, this is trash, you know? and now you listen to Hot 97 now, it's all the stuff that I grew up on. I'm like, it's kind of, you know, whatever. I don't want to be that guy that's like, man, this is garbage basketball. But a part of me is like, man, we've missed some of the team chemistry and the fundamentals that make teams like the Spurs. I think OKC, you see some teams exhibit that. I think about the comment Wemby made before he played us when he was like, the Knicks are not OKC or Miami. They're not cerebral. I get that. I understand what he's saying. Like there's a part of fundamentals that have left the game that I do wish will come back. And I think everything is cyclical. I think that the late 80s, you saw a little bit of Showtime. So I think that was kind of like what we could compare to today. But I think it eventually evolves, right? Like, so everything evolves, but everything's also cyclical. I think we'll get back to a place where IQ is valued more than, you know, you shooting a crazy shot. I think IQ is a big part of the game that's missed. When you see guys like back in the day, like Vlade Divac making crazy passes from the post, you know, like just players that were just so incredibly smart with what they did. So anyway, I say all that to say, I think the NBA is evolving, it's shifting. I think Adam Silver has done a pretty poor job on certain things in terms of engaging fan bases. And going back to the rivalry thing, I think this is why they do what they do. They try to create these fake rivalries that it's like, man, this is, you know what I mean? Like, we're not really, we don't really hate Detroit. I could really care less. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, you know, I would say we're like in a transition era right now, you know, during the in the 70s, 60s, 70s, they had the ABA and the NBA. You know, they were competing against each other and they were fighting for attention. You know, so you know, the NBA was basically going bankrupt. I don't know if you ever watched that the Lakers show. They were talking about that.
Yes.
That's how the owner of the Lakers acquired the Lakers because they were going bankrupt and stuff like that. So you know, it just so happens that Larry Bird and Magic ended up on two ends of the, you know, two different conferences, and they ended up, you know, meeting each other, and that they basically saved the NBA. So, you know, I want to know what you think about this, you know, because I mean, right now with college, with the NIL deals and stuff, we got college kids that are making more money than rookies in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? So I got a feeling that like within the next few years, these kids coming in, they're coming in rich already. So when they see other players that got money, they're not going to be intimidated, or they're not going to be so thirsty to get my next contract because I already got money. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm hoping that'll bring the basketball back to you know, to where it was with the competition. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's actually a really good point. See, I didn't think of it through that lens that like, maybe because they've already secured the bag on a college level that the love for the game is what's going to sustain them to go to the next level. But I do feel like I kind of hope that's the case. But what we're seeing, the top, you know, 5 out of the top 10 players are foreigners. Yes. So like, I think there's also something happening where we're seeing this foreign influence come in. And I genuinely think on our home base in America, there's just not a pride to play basketball anymore. Like, there's just not. So I think you got both things happening, and how they end up converging out of that is going to be interesting. Like, is it that the NIL deals with NCAA players are going to push them to kind of like love the game more? Or are you just going to get this influx of foreigners that just continue to come and alter the game and change the game? I don't know. But when you got 5, 6 of the top 10 players in the NBA, especially in that top 5, I mean, you got Joker, you got Luka, you got Giannis, you got Shea, not even from here.
Right.
And so there's a little bit of an interest, and that's no knock. That's amazing, right? Like, it's beautiful that the sport has evolved in such a way, but there was something about grinding and being from within, and like just that, to your point of like the NIL deals and like fighting to get into the NBA.
Pride, you know, the pride.
Yeah, the pride. That's right. Yep.
Yeah. There's somebody mentioned gambling too, you know. That's a big thing too, because there's been a big thing. There's been quite a few situations where it's almost blatant that the players seem like they were like, you know, gambling on the game, you know, throwing. Well,
Jonte Porter just signed. He just signed with an up and coming league today, I think. He just made a comeback today. The one, what's his name? Michael Porter Jr.'s brother, who was out here losing it all for like what, 12,000. I mean, what he make on that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy. I mean,
it's just a weird time to win right now. So I just think, you know, like you mentioned earlier about the internet age and just things are like that. You know, things are just moving so fast that I just think that, you know, eventually when things move like this, eventually they settle down. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm just hoping, just for entertainment value, that the sport just settles down, and we can catch like another golden era. That's good for us.
I agree with Size 9 in the comment. He also made a comment about the refs. I think that's a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting. The refs have also, I think that goes back to the lack of fundamentals, but you got guys taking 7 steps. The play the other day, it was OKC versus I forget who, and Chet Holmgren legitimately, they were playing the Cavs, and Dennis Schroeder goes up for a layup and it hits the glass, and then Chet Holmgren hits it off the glass. They didn't call it goaltend. Stuff like that's going on. It's really hard to fix the league if both the ones who enforce the laws, the refs, and the ones who are supposed to abide by it are doing 2 different things and don't care. Right. It just feels like you're never going to fix that. And so a part of me hopes, a part of me feels like we saw a little bit of an uptick when USA lost in the gold medals back in the day. And there was a little bit of an uptick with that. Like, we didn't win the gold medal in the Olympics. With 2028 and LeBron being out and Steph most likely being out, and like that team being out, and we're going to be left with, Cooper Flag and I don't even know who. Like, there's a part of me that goes, and Ant Edwards, shout out to Ant, big Ant, he's a beast. But like, a part of me goes like, does that kind of worldwide embarrassment, does that shake the league up to go, we got to get better? I don't know. But it's hard, man, because between the refs, between gambling, between the money coming into the NIL, between like just the lack of fundamentals starting at the AAU level and just like pushing kids through and just using that, all that stuff really does end up coming back around. It's actually very interesting. It's sad. And I think that's why what you guys are doing with creating a space with Nothing But Knicks, with the Die Hard Hour, like what's being done here for real fans is also one of the reasons why I feel like Knicks get hated, because I don't feel like they're true fans outside of like certain major markets. I just got to be honest. Like when I lived in Louisiana, I didn't see real fans. When I live in Chicago right now, I find a couple of real fans. I'm not saying that no one's a real fan, but they're not staying up watching a post game after the game. Like there's not that sense of, and we were doing that back in 2018, like we've been doing that. With Frank Ntilikina was like, when we were hoping that Frank was going to be the guy, we were doing that. There's not that same love. And I think that's, tying kind of a bow on everything. It's kind of like, I feel like the rivalry and all that stuff, it's really contingent on, like, it's based on the fact that we really love our team. That even when they're trash, we love them. Like we really love the team. And we're going to ride or die for them, regardless of all that. And so unless you have that, the NBA is going to die out. It's going to be sad, man. Because who's going to really cheer when Oklahoma City gets bad again at some point, in 2075, once Presti's first round picks are all done? Yeah. Who's going to cheer for them? Who's going to cheer for them? No one's cheering for the Pelicans right now. No one cheers for, all these obscure teams.
They might not even be in those cities after a while.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's interesting, man. It makes me sad. But I gotta be honest, I'm such a diehard Knicks fan. I'm like, I just don't care. I just want us to win. So like, I don't care. Like, I just want us to win. I just want us to win.
Yeah. So that's a good segue back into the religious thing, because as a metaphor for life, sports go through the ups and downs and things of that nature. Yeah. Such as life, you go through ups and downs in life, but one constant that you can have is your faith. You know what I'm saying? Being a 100%. Knicks fan, you're constant of being. Because I mean, like I could turn the camera on. I got a bunch of Knicks stuff. My undershirt is orange. You know what I'm saying? I'm wearing. There's a bunch of stuff, but that has to do with your love and faith that you have for this particular team. So just to bring back faith into the thing, like you're a pastor. You're with the church and stuff. I just kind of want to leave it to you, what can people do, like just as a collective here now. Like to just to get through times, you can make it sports related or just in general.
For sure. I think sports are interesting because they paint a picture for us of wanting to hope for something that we have no control over. And I think that's a good metaphor for our life. We cannot control our lives. You could do everything you want. I had a buddy of mine who played Division I ball. super jacked, dude is diesel, 6'6", and he entered into his 40s. And I remember I've known him for like 12 years, and we've like always joked around. And I'm not trying to get in shape. I could care. I'm like, whatever, man. And he called me not too long ago. He was like, man, like my body's hurting. I got to start doing mobility. And I'm like, bro, isn't it crazy? We took 2 different paths and we ended up on the same track anyway. And that's the reality. We can't control life. And so I think the thing about having a faith, and especially when you put your hope in Jesus, what's happening is your faith is anchoring you. One of the ways you can tell if a boat is anchored is not when everything is calm. I've been to bays where there's boats docked. You can't tell if a boat is docked properly when everything is calm. You can only tell if it's properly anchored when a storm comes. And oftentimes when storms come, that's literally when we start grabbing onto stuff. And I think sports provides a beautiful outlet for us to be able to connect on one level and to be able to, just break bread with people that we don't know. And I think that's dope about Twitter and all the things like that. But I think on the flip side, one of the things that's pretty like powerful with faith and having your faith specifically in Jesus and the gospel. The gospel is the idea that we don't deserve good things, and God sent his son to give us a good thing, which is the thing we couldn't deserve. Right. And when life is going crazy, just being able to anchor yourself into the truth that we can't control this. Like 51 years, we don't have a championship. We can't control that. We've tried with Isaiah. We've tried with Phil Jacks. We tried with Steve Mills. We tried with this name and that name. And if we can't control it. And life is so comparable, man. You can't control life. It's funny. 4 years ago to the day, I kind of went through a similar thing. I was actually coming out of a major life situation that, almost took my life, kind of comparable to what you were sharing about into 2018. 4 years to today. And on February 26th, I walked out of that situation. And there's nothing I could do that can control that. There was nothing about my love for the Knicks. There was nothing that I had that could have made me come back to life had I lost my life. Right. But it's just having that truth and that anchor in your faith that allows you to be able to have hope. And so I say, like, what's interesting to me too is a lot of times people hear people that are Christians or, they'll kind of like, oh, nah, but like they're weird. They can't have fun. Look, I'm on a Knicks podcast. I could kick it with anyone on any level. I could do that. But it's the truth of the gospel that has saved someone like me, a person that doesn't deserve it. And the truth of the gospel came into my life when I was very young. I was about 8 years old. And the truth of the gospel basically it helped me to realize that God did for me what I could not do for myself by sending his son. And so that's been my anchor, man. That's been my anchor. And I stick to that. I hold to that. And I love the fan base that we have and the community that we have within the Knicks community, because it gives us the ability to still be connected to people, even if you don't agree with that. That's amazing. That's beautiful. You don't have to agree with me. That's amazing. We'll find a common ground on the Knicks, but I do think it's important. It's an important part of my journey. It just reminds me that everything I do is anchored to the hope that I've put my faith in, which is in Christ.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. So I mean, like I said earlier, I don't know if you believe it or not, but I get intimidated when I speak with people like you, because you're shining stars within
man,
life that we live,
normal
man.
Dude.
Yeah, you're being humble, man. You know what I'm saying? People look up to you for, they want to hear you speak and then the way that you articulate things. So I knew that you would make that connection and the stuff that you were saying there. So I just believe it's important because it's the way that I think. It's the way that I think. I grew up Catholic too, so I get the whole thing. But just the metaphor with the Knicks, for people that don't get the whole religious thing, you if you're a Knicks fan, you have the gear and stuff like that. It's almost similar. You know what I'm saying? You center yourself when you're doing your Knick thing. You know what I'm saying? And then I just wish people would just remember that.
And the picture of the Knicks, the last thing I'll say on this is the picture of the Knicks. Like, I mean, look, you get Ben Stiller, you get people with different political views, people with different music genre views. You get all these things that are so different, but we can connect together on the Knicks. It's the same thing with our faith. That, a prostitute could be sitting in a room with a dignitary, could be sitting in a room with a priest, could be sitting in a room with a servant, and they could all be one. And that's the beauty of Christ. And to me, it's the beauty of what we have with what we do with the Knicks.
Excellent, man. Excellent. So yeah, man. This is Jovan Ramos, man. Amazing brother, man. I'm so happy that we shared.
Likewise, man.
Yeah, so I mean, me and your brother, we connect like this, man. So I'm hoping that one day that we all can hang out together.
100%. Yeah. When we come to visit, I gotta get there, man. I gotta get out there.
Or we got to get out there to you to go to Chicago. Always
Yeah,
wanted to see
man,
Chicago,
come through, man.
so
Let's go. You're welcome anytime, man. We got an extra room. You're welcome to come, man. We watch the game together when the playoffs comes.
No doubt. All right, man. So thank you for popping in.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, on the way out here, we're gonna play the Die Hard Hour theme song with your bro.
Go.
You know what I'm saying? So for those that didn't see it in the beginning, you'll see it on the replay for those that caught the replay. But we're gonna play it again now. So I'll leave you with that, man. So thank you for
Ebro, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for giving me what I thought you would give, man.
I appreciate it, man.
I feel blessed to have you on the show, man. So
thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. Love.
Yeah, let's get this thing going here, man. For everybody else out there, this is Die Hard Ebro. I'm trying to get this saying back. 4 fingers to the forehead, tucking the thumb, salute.
Go.
Yeah, man. I'll catch you guys later. Here goes the outro. The Die Hard Hour theme song by The Lettuce. Let's get it.
There's been a change of plans, tighten up the clamps, we guarding the glass, I'm a Knickerbocker, we going man to man, no blood, no foul, sturdy in the zone, I leave it all on the line, die hard or go home, you see the body work, we shaking and baking, was down by 20, but my spirit ain't breaking, respect ain't automatic, you screaming out for the ref for a tech, I guard the garden, steel block swatted, bleed blue and orange, it's a die hard thing, you know nothing about it, live with the any star, 5 flavor. I made it rain, stole your cookies. See you later. Yeah, die hard. We ain't get these scars for nothing, we gon' die hard. Yeah, die hard. We ain't get these scars for nothing, we gon' try hard. Yeah, lettuce, suck.